thank you everybody for coming out today for the announcement that we have every year as the winter starts to come on, and that's the opening of our winter shelter. And today we're going to highlight some individuals in our community, including these ladies behind me who are really, and some volunteers from Sandia National Laboratories who are really making a big difference to make sure that the lives of people in our community who are homeless are better. I'll never forget in 2011 when we went out. It was my first full year as the mayor, and we went out to do what was called a point-in-time survey. And for those from the media that were around back then, you'll remember that was kind of the beginning of Albuquerque Heading Home. We had changed the model to go to a housing first model. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did was to count people where they were, to make sure that we knew what the challenges that we had, what resources we needed, and then to start to set some goals for working with the homeless in our community. And it was the coldest day, I believe, in 40 years. And Maria, my wife, and I were out with hundreds of volunteers. People with their teenage kids and their parents and grandparents were out. Heidi was out there with us, the family and community and others. And we went out and actually went underneath the overpasses where people were sleeping, and it was a blizzard. If you go back and check your footage from that storm, it was an awful thing. And I had never seen anybody frozen stiff before. And I grew up in Nebraska where it was cold. And we saw one woman, we were out driving around, who was sitting on a bus bench, and they had literally had to pick her up from the bus bench, and her legs were frozen in a seated position, and she turned out to be fine. But it just struck me right then as the mayor that this is incredibly important work. But it also struck me that we can't do this alone. We can't do this with just government. We have to have an entire community tackle homelessness. And over the last number of years, in my last weeks in office, I want to thank this community. I want to thank the folks in Albuquerque for being really the best in the country at tackling chronic homelessness, tackling persistent social issues with a big heart and with a lot of energy. A report came out last year that said that Albuquerque in the last number of years has been able to reduce our unsheltered homeless population by 80%, and we've been able to reduce our chronic homeless population by at least 40%. I think it's higher than that. And by HUD's definition, we've been able to end chronic veterans homelessness in Albuquerque. And that is great to say, and the next thing we need to say is we'll never finish. We should not rest on those statistics. This year there will be people on the streets of our city who are cold, and if they are not helped and if they don't receive the care that they need, they simply could die on the streets, and we're not going to put up with that. We're not going to allow that in the city of Albuquerque. So this is why we're here today, and this is why the leadership of these Girl Scouts, this young man who's an Eagle Scout right here, the folks from Sandia National Laboratories who have a volunteer corps, why this all matters. And it matters working with Doug Chaplin and our entire staff at Albuquerque Heading Home and our nonprofit partners, St. Martin's Hope Works, in this case Heading Home, who's going to run the winter shelter this year. So the actual news of the conference is that we will start on Wednesday night. November 15th will be our first night to open the winter shelter in the city of Albuquerque. We've been blessed with some really nice weather lately, but it will get cold fast. This shelter will be open until March 15th. It's about a 4-year operation out here. We will have several locations in the city of Albuquerque where folks who are homeless that want to get out of the cold can get a ride out here to the west side winter shelter. One of those locations is at Noonday. Noonday The Rock has done a wonderful job. They're teaming on the meals being provided. Pastor Hill and Steel Bridge, which used to be the rescue mission, teamed up, and that's where they do their feeding operation. So that you can folks can be picked up at Noonday or Coronado Park, which is at 301 McKnight Avenue. And then also we found over the years that we need to send out vans because there are people that will not come to shelters. There are people like the woman that we met that was sitting on a bus bench simply are out in the cold. So there will also be a van that will go around to First and Lomas. It'll come all the way out to the Unser Transit Center to make sure that we're trying to get people the help that they need. So last year, we had an average population of about 235 people per night. This facility will hold around 300 people per night. So if you take a simple math equation, that tells us that we had about 25,000 nights last year where someone got a warm place to sleep. If you take 223 times the days that we were open. So that's a heavy lift. And it takes great partners to be able to do this. For a long time, we had Pastor Hill and the Rescue Mission run the shelter out here. And this year, we did a competitive bid in Albuquerque Heading Home. Actually, the ones that are working with us on our Housing First model, where we've housed over 750 chronically homeless in our community, they will now be running this shelter. And they will do a wonderful job, I know. But we also wanted to make sure that, that this is a place that is welcoming, and it's a place that is nice. As nice as we can make a winter shelter. And so that's what we're going to celebrate a little bit today. We have had 225 families in Albuquerque come out here and help spruce this place up. And that's pretty remarkable, including the women with us here from Girl Scout Troop 47, who you met last year. We did a lot of these wonderful paintings on the walls out here. Katrina Wagner is here with Sandia National Labs volunteer program. A lot of the families from Sandia Labs came out as well. Kendra and Danae Gersh had a project called the Closet Project, and they helped with this as well. This young man to my right, his name is Taylor Jennings. He's an Eagle Scout he's going for his Eagle Scout project. He installed outdoor benches and did some outside cleanup work here at the shelter. And then, of course, our New Mexico National Guard Detachment 1 of the 642nd Component Replacement Company came out here and helped as well. And then we had a lot of people from Sagebrush Church that also came out and helped this year. So we will look forward to opening this in a couple of days. Please get the word out to the community. There is a place to get out of the cold in Albuquerque, and we have a wonderful facility run by this wonderful, caring people that are going to make sure that people are safe and out of the cold. I'm gonna have